all aboard Doncaster Book Awards Express.
Choo choo! Welcome, good morning. We are at the fantastic Dagenham Museum, Library and Art Gallery, this fantastic new building where we're bringing you the final of the Doncaster Book Awards. We're going to find out the winners of the two categories that we've had on our list this year. We've got two fantastic authors, M.G. Leonard and Sam Sedgman, and we've got the wonderful Liz Million who's going to do some illustrations for you. I'm not going to say any more because we've got lots to get through, but have a wonderful time. I hope that you enjoy watching us today, and I hope that your favourite books win the award.
Next stop, poetry competition winners.
My Final Journey by Lauren from St. Peter's Catholic Primary School. Gently rolling through the painted station, starting my journey without hesitation. Unripe diamonds fueling my fire. Steam swirls around me, higher and higher. People gaze, full of admiration. So much joy for this big celebration. Like a racehorse at the starting gate, I hear the whistle, peep, the end of my wait. Full steam ahead, now I jolt into action. My initial bogey slip, but my wheels gain traction. The emerald shine of my polished attire gets another adventure before I retire. Speeding up as the countryside approaches, hauling along my precious coaches. Clickety-clack down the track, fields fly by, hills up high. Daisies, bluebells line my way, horses grazing on the hay. Puffs of steam, railway dream, keep up the pace, winning the race. Groups of children having fun, breaking clouds reveal the sun. Slowing down as I reach my destination, my final stop at Doncaster Station. Gathered crowds cheer my arrival, my last plume of steam in an upward spiral. Time to retire, the museums await, resting among all the steam train crates. As a new generation comes to visit the past, memories are shared that forever will last. I hope that this feeling will always remain, and people will never forget my name. Out of the window, I see my old home, a place where the steam trains once used to roam. Look at the Scotsman, they used to cry. Look at the Scotsman, see it fly. Train by Emily from Bentley High Street. Crackling and coughing, roaring and snoring, churning and burning, hissing and spitting. From up above, it looks like a snake, but from down below, it looks like a fake. It is so vast, it goes so fast, as if in a race, and it wouldn't come last. Trains by Leah from Armthorpe Academy. Woo woo! Trains go past. Flowers blooming in the green grass, people chatting on and on. Journey on a train, can't go wrong. Trains travel on and on, up and down, into stations, into tunnels. Trains go past, noisy and rustling. Trees fly by, children's wave the trains goodbye. The Dragon of Trains by Corey from Plover Primary School. The mythical dragon went down so fast, went through the city into the past. Just like a roller coaster, the journey's never boring. Seats vibrating, you won't end up snoring. The dragon is long and loud. When it goes by, you know. As long as you are far away, that's the way to go. The Scarborough Express by Zach from Saltersgate Juniors. Never slow, given the speed we're going. Everything outside is whizzing and flowing. Off to Scarborough on this fine day, with the LNER on the railway. The glistening locomotive, a swell shade of green. All the windows a fine, clear screen. Charging along like a bullet in war, past the landscape to the city, an eyesore. Oh, what's this? A stop? A station? One of the hundreds scattered around the nation. The station sign says Scarborough in clear. People getting off, children, men, even an old deer. Now I'm here. I'm gonna have some fun. I'm going for an ice cream, then going for a run. Next up, we've got our good friend of the Doncaster Book Award. It's Liz Million.
Thank you very much. Now, I saw you had a rat in your little pocket. Now, last time I did the Doncaster Book Awards a few years ago, I had a big rat and I threw it into the crowd and it was never seen again. So, Big Ratty, if you're watching, get in touch, because this is Little Rat and he's not as nice looking as my other rat. Now, hello everyone. I am super excited today. Look at where we are. I love steam trains. When I was asked to come and do the Doncaster Book Awards and I said, what theme is it? And they went, it's railways. I went, oh no. And that's because, I don't know about you, I'm really bad at doing trains. I'm going to have a little go and I'm going to show you illustrators aren't good at everything. So I can't do realistic noses. I'm not so great at trains, but I have done a book before with a steam train in it. Now, this was one of my stories here. This picture of the old locomotion in Darlington, which is why Darlington is famous, and that's why I'm from Darlington. You can see it's got a bull riding on it. So I can draw them if I'm in my studio trying and sketching and going wrong, but on a big board like this, it's probably going to go a little bit rubbish. So we're going to do some drawing. So while I'm drawing this rubbish steam train, I want you to grab your pencils and join me. I've got my pencil, but when I draw like that, you can't see that, and that's because when you're sketching, you shouldn't draw it really, really heavily, then you can rub it out. So look, I've done a potato on its side and another potato like that. Now this, you can barely see, it looks like a can of pop, but have a look. This is how I would draw a steam train. I would do a really quick, sketchy bit here, like that, and you can see it's got a bit of an edgy curve here, and they've also got things on them, like we could have a look at this beautiful one right next to me, and I know it hasn't got perfectly sort of engineered things like this, so I am just putting two on. I know some in this beautiful museum today have got a lot more than that. Now what I would do is I would draw a little funny chap in there going, hello! But if I draw a funny little chap, he would have a little hat on, like our chap today. There he is, he'd have smudgy face, and he would be waving. So this is my really, really quick version of a steam train, and I think there would also be something going on here. Now, can you see how hard I found that? What I was thinking about when I was coming to here today, I was thinking, do you know what? One of my favourite books was called Water for Elephants, and it was about a circus train, and the train was pulled right across America, and it was full of circus animals, and I thought, we could do circus animals that have been on our train, so we're going to do some drawing now. Now, proper drawing, not just me sketching really badly. So we are going to start with a really simple potato. Can you see that? No. So I'm going to go round that with my grey pen. Now, I'm not going to put any colour on today. Can you see that potato? We're going to draw an elephant. Now, if you're thinking, oh no, elephants are really hard, they are, but I'm going to show you how to do it with a potato. Now, first things first, we're going to do little ears. So this could be an Indian elephant, it could be a baby elephant, and African elephants have got huge ears, but we don't need to have all of that in. So we're going to do two eyes, and I want it to be really cute. So we're going to do two big circles. Now, if you're drawing along, you could always pause this tutorial or video and you can rewind it, okay? Now, your brain has never drawn this before, so you should be very patient with your brain, and drawing is really good for your brain. And anything creative like reading or acting or dancing or singing, it's really good for your brain. It relaxes you. Okay, so we've got some cute eyes. If you want to put eyelashes on, you can do. Now, trunks, very tricky to draw, but we're just gonna do a whoop like that. You can even make that noise go, ooh. like that. Now at the end of it, we've got another potato. You could also draw a baked bean. So we're going to come round once we've done that, like that. Now I always draw quite tricky things at the Doncaster Book Awards. I've had to draw Vikings before. I've also had to teach Claire Balding how to do a racehorse, which was really tricky. But you know what? If I said, oh, it sounds a bit hard, I wouldn't get much work to do, so you have to challenge yourself. You've probably gone a bit wrong there, but it doesn't matter. You can try this again later on. Now, elephants, like my little Nana, are very wrinkly. And they've even got hairy chins, but we're not drawing a hairy chin on today. So what I would do then is I would press down with my pencil. You could put a little bump on there. If you want to put a little bow in their hair, you can do. In fact, because it's a circus elephant, we're going to put some little drops of jewels or glitter or gems or something. Oh, lovely. And I said I wasn't going to put much colour on, but I can't resist putting my rosy cheeks on. There we go. Now, I would normally draw this in a watering hole in Africa with crocodiles and hippos. I would do water. But what we're going to do with my pen, I'm going to show you, we're going to draw a little round body like that. So do that really lightly with your pencil, because we're going to draw an elephant on a balancing ball. So we're going to draw two chunky legs. Now, this is how I draw dinosaur legs, and it's also how I draw rhino legs. And they're just like big squares or rectangles. And we've got toenails, and they're not pink like my toenails, and wrinkly knees like my Nana in her tights, like that. Okay, now I do draw quite fast. If I've gone too fast, you could always draw this again later. Now we want the same leg up here. One leg, two leg, and I know that the toenails would be round the other side, so I'm just going to do one toenail there, like that. Now they need a tail. Now, little hippos and rhinos and all sorts of animals in Africa haven't got very interesting tails. Giraffes, zebras, no one has got a good tail like a lemur or a red panda. All their tails are like that. That is really boring, isn't it? It's like a little matchstick. Okay, so we've got our lovely elephant's body. If you've got space underneath, try and draw a ball. Now have a look. Is that a perfectly round ball? No, because there's a big elephant on it. So what you could do is you could do your favourite colours. You could put a star on there. If you haven't got space under there, what you could do is just get a piece of paper. Like, I'll show you what I mean. You could just put some shadow there, because that is quite a good trick anyway, so you don't need the ball in. Now, if my elephant was naughty, and she was about to land on someone in the audience, you would not want a naughty elephant landing on you. Look at that. So your eyebrows are very important. Now, if I saw this coming towards me and I was in the audience, I'd be like this. Okay, so your eyebrows are very important. Now, action lines. Action lines. If she is rolling along, we have zoom lines. Now she's going quite fast. Look at that. Oh no, what could possibly go wrong? Now, because we are illustrators and authors, we have got really good imaginations, and reading really helps our imagination. I'm already thinking about a story that you could write about this getting out of control. Maybe the poodles were ill that morning and she steps in last minute and she has her fancy costume. She could have more little fancy costumes. She could have a tutu if you want to draw that on. And suddenly, oh no, she trips over. Oh no, there's a tack. There's a spiky nail. The clowns have dropped it off their car. It's going to go, and she's going to go, whoa, into the audience. So this is a good idea. Now also, in the background, you could, if you wanted to, draw the train. As I said, I'm not great at trains, but I'm quite good at drawing lots of people who look like little potatoes. So here's our potato again. Ooh, ee, ah. Ooh,
someone's got the camera phone out.
So we've got a load of people now. If I was doing this for a book, this bit would take me hours to get right, because kids, when you're looking at a book, you look at everything. You notice more than your grown-ups. So we've got a little kid here with bunches going, yeah, look at that, mummy. And I would do zigzags. And do you know what? To get more ideas, I would go down to my library, get some circus books out, or I would go on Google Images and type in circus animals, and it would come up with seals. If she was being super clever, she might be juggling or balancing balls on the back of her feet with a star on. Now, I know I've pretty much gone too fast. Some of you like to take your time. Some of you might still be on those toenails. Okay, last thing we need to do is put our name on. Now, illustrators, we always put our name on, because if you did a good picture, imagine if someone put their name on and say, I did that. You'd be like, no, you never, I did it. Okay, so that was our elephant. How did you do? Did you think that was easy, hard, or okay?
Questions from Salters Gate Juniors, who have been so supportive throughout the years to Doncaster Book Awards. So, are you ready for some questions?
I am, as long as they're not too taxing.
Mastermind music.
What is my favourite sweet? I could never answer that. I just love sweets in general.
Yeah. Right, you ready? So Grace wants to know, how long have you been an illustrator for?
Well, I've been an illustrator for 24 years since I left university.
young.
I know. Well, I am 45, and when I tell kids that, they go, "Ah!"
My nana's only 42.
But I've been drawing since I was your age. So when I was titchy tiny, I drew just like you, and then I went to college, I went to university, and that was 24 years ago. So I've been drawing since I was tiny.
Wow. Brooke wants to know, what is your favourite animal to illustrate?
Oh, it changes all the time. Now, to cuddle, my favourite animals are goats, because they're so stinky and naughty. But at the moment, my favourite animals are tigers, because lots of people have been asking me to draw them. So I do realistic stuff, and some people ask me, why do I just do cartoony stuff? And that's because nobody asks me to draw realistic. So this is my realistic tiger that I did for a Jungle Book project. But then over the last year, I've had to draw animals doing sports, so I did a tiger on a bike. And the hardest tiger I've ever drawn, because these are pretty much my favourite things to draw at the moment, was an electric guitar getting played by a tiger, and that took me about 20 goes to get right.
Oh, so practice makes perfect?
Definitely. I remember thinking I'm going to scream because I kept getting his feet wrong.
So Lacey wants to know, where'd you get your ideas for pictures?
Oh, everywhere. Like today, drawing that in here, I now think I must do a project about how to draw sort of animals doing funny things, and I need to get that done. So I get ideas from everywhere. People talking to me, especially coming into libraries. If you're stuck for an idea, go to your local library, get some books out. Other people's books inspire me as well.
If you were to draw me, what would you focus on?
Oh my goodness, I couldn't capture your beauty.
Right, and last question. Who inspires you? That's from Matty.
Oh, when I was little, I used to love my books, so I would always love my books. But Beano, I used to draw from the Beano constantly. I loved Richard Scarry books, that busy American author. He was brilliant. He wrote his own stories as well. I loved cartoon clubs on the telly, and there was obviously Tony Hart as well. So when I was little, the telly was rubbish, wasn't it, when we were little? So I used to watch that sort of a programme. I used to love cartoons, and I used to draw all the time from other people's books like Disney and things, and that's definitely what inspired me to do cartoons.
This is the last Doncaster Book Award finale. So what's your favourite memory of working at Doncaster Book Award?
Just comparing foot sizes with Philip Silvada. I've got like a size 6 foot, which is quite a normal, like biggish size for a woman. His foot was like that. But also, there's too many, like that was a brilliant, I got to meet loads of Vikings the next year. They were scary with their shields and throwing me right out there, never getting it back. I'll never get over that. So Ratty, if you're watching.
Thank you so much, Liz.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful Doncaster Book Award.
Where can everyone find you?
Oh, just go on my Facebook page, Liz Million Illustrator Author, or YouTube. There's loads of draw-along sessions that you can join in for free.
Buses and ferries, buses and witches, bridges and houses, hedges and ditches. In All of the sights of the hill and the plain fly as thick as driving rain.
And ever again, in the wink of an eye, painted stations whistle by.
Here is a child who clambers and scrambles all by himself and gathering brambles.
Here is a tramp who stands and gazes, and here is the green for stringing the daisies.
Here is a cart run away in a road, lumping along with a man in a road.
And here is a mill, and there is a river, each a glimpse and gone forever.
Okay, so now we'd love to welcome our special authors for today's event. It's MG Leonard and Sam Sedgman. We'd like to say a quick hello, guys.
Hello! Hello, thank you so much for having us. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes, this is very exciting.
Fantastic. Yes, welcome to Doncaster's brand new museum, the Dagenham Museum and Library. As you can see behind us, we have fabulous locomotives.
They are beautiful. They might upstage you just a little bit because, you know, you two are very beautiful, but the two locomotives behind you are very gleaming and shiny and very attractive.
Yes, so we would have loved to have welcomed you here today to see these in person, but thank you for joining us here on Zoom. Now, we were especially excited to have you here today because your series of children's books is all about steam trains. The Highland Falcon Thief is on our shortlist, and there's a whole series of adventures on trains for Doncaster children to enjoy. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about this fabulous series of books?
Yes, well, shall I launch in, Sam? I will begin because quite often what we get asked, the two most common questions is, how did we come up with the idea to write the series and how did we write it together? And the answer to both those questions is kind of all jumbled up really because the idea for the series started off in my head because I am a mum and I have two sons. And when my oldest son, who is now 16, was little, he loved trains. He loved all of the Thomas the Tank Engine books, and he had Brio trains and then Lego trains and Hornby trains. And we would always stop. I live in Brighton and his school's opposite the train line into Brighton. We'd always stop at the fence and wave at the trains and watch the trains. He was crazy about trains. And then he grew up and he got into junior school and he got to year 3 or 4 where he started looking for chapter books to read by himself. And what he wanted was a book that would kind of follow on from his passion with the vocabulary that he knew well and the subject that he loved. And we looked in libraries and bookshops and we could find train books that were like fantasy trains that would go on rails through the clouds and be powered by glitter and driven by mad unicorns. But that is not what he wanted to read. He wanted to read about real trains. He wanted, you know, coal and smoke and steam and the iron of the rails. And he wanted everything that he loved about railways. And I just thought, well, this is ridiculous that there isn't a series of adventures on trains for children to read, because so many children do love trains and do love all of those Thomas books, etc., and all of the TV programs that go with it. So I thought, well, someone needs to write those books, you know, particularly for my lovely sons. But I didn't think it could be me because I know a lot about Beatles. I'm very happy to put on my Beatle expert hat, but I really didn't know anything about trains at all. However, I did know a certain person called Sam Sedgman, who I worked with at the National Theatre. And behind his desk, where we used to sit next to each other, he had a map, which was of the original railway, underground railway map in London, the Tube. And he used to talk to me about closed stations, and he used to tell me about train stuff when we worked together. So I knew that he did know something about trains. And so we were at an awards ceremony and we're doing something for the National Theatre, and Beatle Boy had come out and he knew I was writing the last Beatle book, The Battle of the Beatles. And he said, well, what are you going to do next? And then I said, well, I've had this idea, but I don't think I can do it alone. And I suggested that we have a go at doing it together. Sam, do you want to take over?
Absolutely. I mean, yes. So I was really curious to know what Maya wanted to do post Beatles. And when she mentioned trains, I flew off the handle. I was so excited because I was as nuts about trains when I was a boy as Maya's boys were. And I still am. I love trains. I love talking about trains. I will bore you to tears with all the things I know about trains. And so when Maya said that she was interested in writing a series of books about them, I got really excited because it immediately sparked the enthusiasm that I'd had when I was, 9 or 10. And I just found my brain filling with amazing ideas. I was like, oh my God, you could set one on this train journey. You could set one on this train journey. And it was a real kind of wonderful kind of inspiration point for me. I was a writer then, but I wrote plays. I'd never written a children's book before. And when Maya suggested that we write these books together, I got really excited because it's not something that I thought about doing. As well as deciding to write them about trains, I very quickly sort of suggested that we make them mystery stories because the things that I really loved when I was younger were reading books by Agatha Christie, and I loved The Secret Seven and The Famous Five, all of Enid Blyton's kind of really exciting adventure stories. And that's really how we came to have the idea of a series of adventure stories set on different railway journeys all over the world that captured the essence and the excitement of a real train journey. So all of that real life information stuff that Maya said, all about how steam trains go, the routes that they follow, we wanted to be as accurate about all of that information as possible. And we set mysteries on trains because mysteries fit really well on board a train. On a train, no one can get on or off. All of the suspects are locked in together. There's a ticking clock because the train's going to reach the end of the line sooner or later, and the crime has to be solved before you get there. So we started writing. We were delighted to find out that we didn't hate each other, that we could write them together, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And so, yes, we've written 3 of them so far. They're all set in different countries all over the world. The first one is the Highland Falcon Thief, set right here in the UK on the last journey of the Royal Steam Train. The second one is Kidnap on the California Comet, which is a kidnap, unsurprisingly, on a train journey all the way across America. And the third one is, I've got it right here, it's Murder on the Safari Star, which came out in February. And that's a steam engine pulling a safari train across South Africa.
Fantastic. That sounds brilliant. Sam, I believe you have a bit from that book that you are able to read to us today.
Yes, absolutely. So we'd love to do a reading for you, just a short one. This is from about 2/3 of the way through Murder on Safari Star, and I'll give you a little flavour of the story. Things you should know before I start reading this is that Hal has teamed up with another boy called Winston, who's the son of the safari guide on board the train. And Winston has a pet mongoose called Cheapo who lives in his rucksack. And they are investigating a murder on the train by trying to sneak into the compartment where the crime happened while all of the adults are off on a game drive. And it's nighttime and there's a storm coming. The silhouette of the Safari Star loomed in the twilight as they hurried back along the path. Sensing the coming storm, the invisible chorus of creatures in the trees had fallen eerily silent, and Cheapo cowered in her rucksack. "How are we going to get in?" Hal asked as they approached the train. The police locked the compartment. Lights shone from the service cars and Mr. Ackerman's room, but the rest of the train was dark. "Mr. Crosby's window," Winston suggested. "It might still be open." The boys hurried round the end of the train. "It is," Hal said excitedly as they ran towards it. "No one's closed it." He jumped to see if he could reach the window, but he wasn't tall enough. "Here," Winston made a cradle with his hands. "Try with a bunk up." Hal tried several times, but the window was a fraction too high for his fingers to reach the frame. "It's no good." He dropped to the ground. "We'll have to find another way." "What about the roof?" Winston looked up. "We could lower ourselves in." "Great idea," Hal grinned. They clambered up to the observation car veranda. Winston shifted his rucksack from his chest to his back, zipping Cheapo inside. Hal watched as he climbed onto the balcony railings, heaving himself up onto the roof of the train, legs kicking. The wind ruffled Hal's shirt as he followed behind, rolling onto the rooftop, still warm from the evening sun. "Come on," said Winston, keeping low and running softly over the top of the carriage. As they jumped the gap to the first sleeping car, there was a bright flash. Hal looked up. The red and smoky clouds in the distance were severed by hairline cracks of lightning, and a moment later, thunder rolled over the treetops. "Rain's coming," Winston called out. "Quick!" He crouched down. "Grab the mushroom vent with one hand and lower your legs over the edge. I'll hold your arms so you don't fall." Hal grabbed the vent and slid his legs over the edge of the carriage. He felt a dart of fear, but Winston gripped his wrists firmly. His dangling legs found the open window, and he released one hand, grabbing the frame and pulling himself into Mr. Crosby's compartment, falling to the floor in a heap. Winston came through the window behind him, landing on his feet with a wobble. "We did it!" he grinned at Hal. A flash of lightning lit up the compartment, and they both stopped smiling as they saw the dark blood stain on the carpet. And that's
fantastic. Thank you so much for that. I think a really good extract to choose, because it's got the mystery, it's got the action as well, and the suspense. So I think I definitely want to read that third one, and it's the third one in the series, isn't it?
It is, and I'd say it's my favourite as well, just because it's a very classic murder mystery on a train story. They aren't all murders, that's our only murder, but it's very much my favourite one.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We have here with us now a list of questions from Doncaster children, from schools throughout Doncaster. So I think if I pass over to Lynn, who is going to put you on the spot now with some of those questions.
I am. I've just crossed out 3 because you've answered them already. So
oh
that's
no, I'm sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. I had a big long list, so that's good. But I will mention that's Ruby, Year 5 at Saltersgate, AJ from Hayfield Lane Primary, Jack from Southfield Primary, and Sienna, Year 5, Saltersgate Juniors. We did have questions chosen, but hopefully you were listening properly and now you've got the answers already. Okay. So what I'm going to go to first is Abigail, who's Year 6 at Saltersgate Juniors, wanted to know why you set your book on a steam train. Why a steam train?
Well, only the first and the third books in the series are set on steam trains. They won't always be on a steam train, but we did know for our first book, for the Highland Falcon Thief, we really wanted to celebrate the heritage of railways and the very kind of traditional, nostalgic British steam engine era. And that's why we've got the royal family and the royal steam train, because obviously steam trains don't go on main lines now, not unless it's a very special occasion. So that's why we created a special occasion, because the books are set now, they're not set in the past. But of course you can still go on steam trains, but usually not on a normal railway line.
Yeah, it's very important to us that we tell the story of the country that our book is set in, because as the books go on, they all go to different countries around the world. And the first one was set in the UK, and you really can't tell the story of railways in the UK without talking about steam trains. So that's why we decided to make it the star of our book.
Yeah, we're a little bit biased for steam trains here in Doncaster, got to say.
I can see.
Yeah, just a little. Okay, MJ, you've mentioned already that your son was the inspiration for trains. We've got a question from Thomas at Saltersgate Juniors, is why did you promise your son that you would use Leonard as your pen name?
So that's my oldest son, who's now 16. But when he was little, very sadly, his father and I separated. And so I changed my surname from my married name back to my maiden name. And my son Arthur was about to start school. He was 4 years old. And he was not happy that he was starting school with a different name to me, because he was living with me. And he couldn't understand why I couldn't keep the same surname as him, because, you know, the rules of marriage and how these things work are very complicated and you can't always explain them to a 4-year-old. So I made Arthur a promise. I had already started writing Beetle Boy, and I said to him that I was going to make up an author name that would be his and my names condensed, like mushed up. So my real name, if I got my passport out, you would see that the M and the G in my name, they stand for Maya Gabrielle, and that's my passport name. But MG Leonard are my initials and my oldest son's middle name. His middle name is Leonard. So now if you go in any of the countries around the world where my books are published, you'll see my initials and my son's middle name make up my author's name. And it's a promise that I made to him before I ever knew that Beetle Boy would be published. Now he's 16, he's very begrudgingly proud of it. But when he was about 10, he used to be walking around going, yeah, that's my name. She took my name. That's my name. So I'm hoping that when he's a little bit older, maybe in his 20s, he'll think it's cool again. But right now it's not cool.
At 16, nothing is cool about parents at 16.
Oh, no, I'm very
nothing at all. Peter from Armthorpe Academy has got a question for both of you. It's a really good one, this one. What has been your greatest adventure on a train?
Oh, well, Sam, your answer might be different to mine.
I mean, it's very difficult because I've had quite a lot of train journeys in my time. I mean, I did get to drive a steam train a few years ago at the Dartmouth Steam Railway down here in Devon, which was really fun. But I think the greatest adventure that I had on a train was when I took sort of my first proper long distance railway journey. Was when, for my birthday, I took the California Zephyr, which is the real life inspiration for the California Comet, the train that our second book is based on. So I got to do that journey as research, really, but also as a birthday treat. And that goes from Chicago to San Francisco, all the way across America. It takes 3 days and 2 nights. You stay in a roomette, just like the book. There's a dining car where you have your meals, an observation car. You go through the farmlands of Iowa. You go up the Rocky Mountains. You follow the Colorado River. You go through the desert in Utah, and then you climb into the Sierra Nevada and end up at the West Coast. It's an absolutely incredible journey, and you see America in a way that nobody really gets to see. And that was one of the best experiences of my life.
Yes, whereas my biggest train adventure really is a consequence of knowing and writing these books with Sam, because our 4th book that comes out in September is called Danger at Dead Man's Pass. And it's a kind of cross-European rail journey where Hal travels all the way from his home in Crewe to St Pancras, then gets the Eurostar to Paris, and then gets the sleeper train to Berlin, and then from Berlin gets a train up into the Harz Mountains in Wernigerode. And we did that journey. We did that journey in January 2020, just before COVID descended on our lives and made travel impossible. So I was really now looking back on it, we were really lucky that we got to do that. We did it in, I think it was the 2nd week of January. And it was incredible. Sam planned and organized all of it. I cannot take any credit for it at all. I just got up and did as I was told. But it was amazing because he set us off on an early Eurostar to Paris. And by the end of one day, he had put me on 7 different trains, and I was waiting for my first ever sleeper train to take us into Germany. And I'd never been on a sleeper train before either. So it was a huge adventure to do that journey. And I didn't even realize you could travel so far across Europe without needing an aeroplane at all. Like, it was a real eye-opener, and we encountered crazy people and we ate fantastic food in strange places, and it was just a wonderful adventure. And all of that research is going to be in our 4th book.
I want to do both those journeys now.
You should.
Okay, now this is not the question that you might think it is. Because I'm aware that when you write a book, it's not necessarily, your first book is not necessarily the one that gets published. So Faith from Hayfield Lane Primary wants to know, for each of you, do you remember writing your first book, and where is it now?
Yes. So I do. I've written stories ever since I was really little. The first one that I would call like a book, like a book thing, was about a history teacher who is recruited into an agency of time travelers who have to travel through time and make sure history happens as it's supposed to. And there's a conspiracy to control history. It was very complicated and very tangled up. They sort of traveled through time through these big doors. I guess it's somewhere between Monsters, Inc. and Doctor Who, I think, would be kind of where I'd pitched that. I loved it. The idea was really good. I couldn't work out where to go with it or how the story ended. It's still in a drawer, half finished. One day I might go back to it. My mum read it. She's the only person who read it. She said, "Oh, that's really good. You should keep doing that." But I don't know. I've never found a way back into it.
Well, the first book that I ever wrote, if you could call it a book, I was 12, and as a school project, we were asked to make a book, like a picture book. And I always loved drawing, but I actually was very bad at writing at school. I had terrible spelling and grammar and punctuation, and I didn't have neat handwriting at all. And it was an English lesson, like homework project, to make a picture book. And I ignored the word part of it. And I made a picture book, but I had lots of things where you it was like a pop-up book where you pull things, and it was about a witch. And on every page, she tried to cast a spell and it backfired spectacularly. And on the last spread, she blew herself up. And it didn't require any words, because on each page, she was just trying to make a spell, and like something unfortunate would explode, or you'd pull a thing, or, you know, it was funny. But I really used to try and avoid writing in any kind of formal way, because I was always told I was so bad at it. And I've always been interested in storytelling, but when I was at school, I got really into drama because I really loved being on a stage and telling stories, or singing or dancing and doing stories that way. I was really not very confident about writing them. So I never really dreamed of being an author. And in fact, Beetle Boy is the first actual book that I have ever written. So, yeah.
I think that's going to be really good for a lot of our kids to hear, that even if you don't think, or you're not told that you're any good at writing at school, you can still be a published author.
Yeah, well, the thing that's interesting is that when I was at school, I thought being good at writing was being good at knowing when to do commas and apostrophes and spellings, and I was never any good at those things, and I'm still not good at spelling things. I just don't have that kind of brain. But it's not true. To be a really good storyteller is a different thing from being able to write clearly and cleanly and accurately. They are two different skills. And I would still say that I am not the best at writing clearly and cleanly and accurately, but I'm a great storyteller. I can definitely come up with something that's going to make you laugh or excite you or surprise you. I can conceive of drama, and that doesn't require being good at writing. And actually, once you're a grown-up and you've got computers that fix your spellings and you've got editors that will clean up your text, what publishing companies really want is not people who write neatly and clearly and cleanly. They want people with really exciting imaginations that can create characters that people can relate to. So if anyone out there feels like they want to be a storyteller but thinks they can't because of their writing, you really should not worry about that bit of it, because you'll practice writing over every year of your life. We all write every day, you know, right until we're old. So, you know, you will get better at it. But like an imagination, you know, you can't buy one of those.
Well, that leads us very nicely onto a couple of questions we've got about Beetle Boy. They're both from Hayfield Lane Primary students, Leo and Tyler. Leo wants to know if Beetle Boy was inspired by anyone in particular. And Tyler wants to know, what on earth got you first interested in beetles, even though they heard you were scared of them when you were younger?
They heard right. I wasn't just scared, I was absolutely terrified. I was, you know, people don't really understand when I say, oh, I didn't like insects. They think, oh, you were scared of spiders, because like that's very common. Most people are scared of spiders. But I was definitely terrified of spiders. There's no doubt to that. But I was also scared of moths. And because I was scared of moths, I was also scared of butterflies, and I was scared of daddy long legs, and I was scared of wasps and bees and pretty much anything that was small, creepy crawly like. I was so ignorant about what those creatures were. Anytime I saw anything like that, I would freak out and scream and like run away. And I was like that all the way up until I became a mum as a grown-up. And then when I had my son, he was about 1 year old, and we were sitting in the front room, and a fly just came in the living room, a totally harmless fly. And he started screaming and freaking out. And I realized, oh, he's learnt that from me. That's not good. You shouldn't teach children to be scared of things, particularly harmless things. And I thought, oh, I'm going to have to pretend not to be scared. But children are clever. They know if you're just pretending, and they don't buy it. And so I started trying to learn a bit about insects to see if I could, deal with my phobias that way. And I thought I'll start with beetles, because they, to me, were the least frightening of a whole bunch of frightening creatures. And learning about beetles, it was like falling down the rabbit hole in Alice in Wonderland. I found myself in the most incredible world, and learning all these amazing facts and seeing how beautiful these creatures were just kind of completely blew my mind. And then I started to realize the truth about beetles. They're the most important pollinators we have on the planet. They pollinate more plants than any other insect, more than bees. There's a whole type of beetle that breaks down poo. No one likes poo, but if we didn't have dung beetles, we'd all be up to our necks in it. We don't want to do that. So I suddenly realized that, oh gosh, these creatures are much maligned. They're really good. And actually some of them are quite beautiful, and some of them have superhero skills. And I became quite, I went from being really frightened to being really quite in love with them. It was quite a strong swing the other way. And then when I started to write the story, one of the things that drove me to write really well was I really wanted to do beetles justice. I wanted to do the subject matter justice, because I realized that, maybe if I was a child and I had read a book like Beetle Boy, I might not have spent my whole adult life running away and screaming from insects that were harmless and in fact benefiting me. And I think that's my gift to children, is read this amazing adventure. You won't realize it, but by the end of it, you are going to really care about beetles. And that's what I'm trying to do with those books. And as to whether any of the characters are based on real people, yes, the answer is yes. Beetle Boy himself, Darkus, is based on my oldest son, the one who I named myself MG Leonard after. He looks a lot like Darkus, but he was only 4 when I wrote the book. So he's how I imagined my son would be at the age of 13. My son is nothing like how I imagined he would be. He still looks the same as Darkus, but has a quite different personality, although I keep pet beetles, so everyone in my house is now a fan of beetles. But yes, so Darkus is based on my oldest son.
Brilliant. We're going to give you a bit of a break, MD. We've got a question just for Sam.
Okay.
Gabe from Armthorpe Academy. They want to know, what do you prefer most, writing books for kids or writing plays?
Oh, writing books for kids. I wrote plays for a long time, because I went to university to study creative writing. Like I said, I was a writer since I was very little, and I found out that you could study writing at university. I thought that'd be very, very fun and exciting. And it was, and I had a lot of fun doing it, but it really left me with the impression that you should write about things that are very serious and important, and that if you weren't writing about things that were very serious and important, you were kind of wasting yourself, and you should write the great novels and that kind of thing. And I was really interested in plays and theatre. Like May, I really enjoyed, telling stories on the stage and things like that. And that's how I got into writing plays. And I really loved writing plays because you get to write words and then other people say them, and it's very fun. But I tried to write, really kind of important, serious plays. And I tried to think of myself as an important, serious writer. And I hadn't thought about writing a children's book until Maya suggested that we write the Adventures on Trains books together. But when we started working on the idea, I felt this incredible joy, because I reconnected with something that had made me incredibly happy when I was younger, which was, trains and adventures and mystery stories. And I had forgotten how much fun you can have with writing. I'd forgotten how much fun and excitement you can have when you write about the things that you love. And for me, writing these books about adventures on trains has just been an exercise in making people as happy as possible. That's what we wanted these books to be, is to be a a warm hug to make you feel joy and wonder and excitement at the world. And so really by reconnecting with writing these books has made me reconnect with who I was when I was a young boy, and has made me incredibly, incredibly happy. And really, I think now, the world can be such a difficult, terrible place. Doing whatever you can to spread joy and to spread wonder and to spread excitement is really the most serious and important thing that you can do with your life. So hands down, I will write plays again, but hands down, the best thing that I've ever written has been these books. They've also been the most fun that I've ever had. And what a treat that I get to write them with a friend. Makes it fun all the way.
Well, I'm going to leave the questions there, because leaving the questions with a message of how much fun and joy and happiness and giving all the kids of Doncaster a nice warm hug from MD and Sam, I think that's a good place to leave the questions.
Thank you so much. Just to finish off with, the Doncaster Book Award for this year is yet to be announced. We're going to move on to that soon. But Mia, I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, your book, The Beetle Collector's Handbook, won our non-fiction category. I think it was 2019.
Yes, I do remember.
Yes, we have a bit of a tradition at the Doncaster Book Awards. We have a local artist, her name's Emily Rowley, and she creates these fantastic ceramic trophies for the winners of the Book Awards. So you can see Chris Waddell with his, Andy Stanton's trophy, David Baddiel, Liz Pichon, Julian Clary. And of course, we wanted to say a massive thank you for today, and also congratulations for your win in 2019. It's not quite finished yet, but here's a sneak preview, Maya, of your trophy here.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
amazing. Wow.
You can see we've got characters from Beetle Boy, from Adventures on Trains, and this character in the middle is a representation of yourself.
Oh my goodness.
So this, if we can arrange for that to get delivered to you once it's complete, and there you go. So huge congratulations.
It will be displayed proudly on the shelves behind me. It's absolutely amazing. That's so impressive. Thank you. I don't know what to say. I was just completely I love Pickering and Humphrey. I can see there, and Novak on the edge, and Darkus. I just, yeah. Wow. I'm very excited. I can see half of Lucretia's face.
Fantastic. Yes. I'm glad you like it.
Oh, I love it.
So brilliant. So I think it's just time to say a massive thank you for joining us today at the Doncaster Book Awards. And we're looking forward to the next in the series of the Adventures on Trains.
Definitely. It's
And
going
we
to cost
hope-
a fortune on train journeys now.
And we hope that we get to come to Doncaster at some point soon, when the world is a bit more normal, because I've been hoping to come to Doncaster now for about 2 years, and it's just been the worst 2 years to try and travel anywhere.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I can't wait to see those trains up close and personal.
They're magnificent, magnificent.
They are. Thank you so much for having us, though. This was really fun.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Okay, so this is the moment that we've all been waiting for, the announcement of this year's winners. So I can reveal that from the classics list, the winner is J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Woo!
And from the book list from this year, I can reveal that it's been very, very, very close. But the winner is David Baddiel and Head Kid.
Fantastic! Woo!
So it just remains for me to say that it's been an absolute whirlwind. The 17 years that we've been doing the Doncaster Book Award has just flown by. I've been privileged to meet so many young people in Doncaster who have embraced the award, made it their own, because that's what the Doncaster Book Award has always been about. It's always been with the children in the driving seat. I'm quite upset that, things as they are coming to an end, but I'm sure it won't be the last you hear from us, okay? I'm going to introduce Lynn Hopson just to say a few words, And then I do believe that we've had some really kind messages from people who we've worked with over the years. I'd like to say a massive thank you to two stalwarts who have been here today, and that is Liz Million, who supported us all through our journey. She's such a favourite in schools. Okay, and also Tailgate Theatre, who, without their support, some of the things that we've done would not have been available, to you. So well done. I'm going to pass on to Lynn now before I start crying. Enjoy reading. Please, please, please look at the book in different ways. It's not just about reading a book. It's about everything that goes with the book. It's open to all. Books are open to all. It's just the way that you look at books. And enjoy reading for pleasure. And I need to go now. Okay.
Well, like Leslie, I'm feeling a bit choked up today. When we first launched the Doncaster Book Award in November 2004, I never imagined that we'd still be here 17 years later. Now, over that 17 years, we've had some absolutely amazing events, workshops. We've met some incredible young people, and their sheer enthusiasm for books and for reading has just been incredible. It's really done us all good every time we've interacted with them. We've met some lovely authors over the years too, and illustrators. And as Leslie says, Liz and Tailgate have just been incredible throughout the years. Thank you to everybody who's been involved from the very first day. We've had so much support from the public libraries, from teachers and schools in Doncaster, and most of all, from the young people of Doncaster. Thank you for joining in and for showing us the sheer joy that you can get from books.
Don't forget, you've got to keep reading.
Oh, absolutely, keep reading.
Hi everyone, it's Dan Blythe here. Just really wanted to say that I'm very sad to hear that the Doncaster Book Awards is coming to an end after such a long and successful duration. I was really happy to be involved at the time that I did it, and I've got very happy memories of working with you all and seeing so many kids so enthused about books. I just wanted to share one of my happiest memories, which is this lovely picture, I think you'll agree, of me standing in front of a pile of Target books, looking like I'm about to burst into song, the Ballad of Doctor Who, I think somebody called it on the day. So yes, very, very happy to have been part of this, and very sorry to hear that it is no more. Really hope that at some point we can all work together in the future, and best wishes to everybody.
Hello, I'm John Chapman. There is always an inspirational teacher we remember, and for thousands of Doncaster young people, Doncaster Book Award has been an inspirational group that has promoted and enabled a lifelong delight in books and reading. It's been my pleasure and privilege to be the link between Rotary and DBA over many years, participating in projects and sharing in the judging of writing competitions, joyous occasions. Thank you, DBA, for the memories. As Jefferson said, I cannot live without books, and your work means there are many more with that shared mindset.
Well, hello, forgive the chaos around here. It's very empty, probably quite echoey, because I'm in the middle of moving house, but I wanted to take time out to say a very sad farewell to all those who've been involved in the Doncaster Book Awards over the years. What a fantastic thing that's been. It's been entertaining, exciting, and really involving the community. And I just want to give huge praise to all of you who've been involved in every aspect of the award, and to wish you all the very best in the future, and hope you can look back proudly on something which has been a real event in the children's book world calendar, not just in Doncaster, of course, but the countrywide. So a huge congratulations to absolutely everything you've achieved, and let's all give ourselves a pat on the back for something which was just so good, so very good, particularly when I was involved. In all seriousness, well done. Sorry it had to end, but all good things come to an end. But let's just look back at it and feel rightly proud. So as Paul McCartney would do.
Hi everyone, we just wanted to say a big thank you and a huge farewell to all who have made Doncaster Book Awards possible. Your many years of dedication and enthusiasm has meant so much to so many children and teachers across Doncaster. The amazing event that you held at the Dome really are the long-lasting memories that children look back on once they're adults and see as the highlights of their school days. And this includes my own son, who came along in 2019 when I could take part in with him. Thank you.
Hi DBA committee, Joe at Waterstones here. Just wanted to say a massive thank you for all the support and the amazing stuff you've done for the kids of Doncaster for all the years the DBA has been running. It's such a shame it's coming to an end, but there's definitely a generation of kids in Doncaster who will have such fond memories of this for so long. Formative memories, I think, a real love of reading that's been cemented through the activities and the events they were able to be part of because of you guys. And obviously, from our point of view, we were massively grateful for the support, the boost to sales, obviously, that it brought, but we loved going out on the events with you. It was always a highlight of our year whenever there was a DBA event. We had to fight to see who would go on each trip. So yeah, massive well done. Thank you, and good luck for all the future. Cheers.
Doncaster Book Award, 17 years. I make that 16 launches, 15 finales, one still to come, 382 books, 10,741 reviews, and 606 website updates since I had the privilege to start working with you in September 2005. Delving into the database, I can tell you that the most reviewed book in all that time was Chris Riddell's Otterline and the Yellow Cat, with a whopping 195 reviews. The most prolific reviewer was Eleanor from Ridgewood, who submitted 37 reviews between 2015 and 2018. But a project like this isn't about numbers and statistics, it's about the positive effect you've had on all these pupils' attitudes to reading. Liz and I were honoured to be invited to the finale ceremony in 2006, and it was clear from the excitement and enjoyment of the pupils all around us that the Doncaster Book Award had genuinely enthused them about books, authors and reading. That's down to the dedication and commitment of Team DBA, and also to the outstanding authors and performers who have lit up your launch and finale events. Although I haven't been able to attend another finale, despite numerous kind invitations, I have enjoyed the various events vicariously as I received the enthusiastically written reports from Lynn Hopson and the oodles of excellent photos from Lynn Coppendale and others. My standout favourite of all of these has got to be the 2012 finale event, with Tailgate Theatre members in full costume as the Mad Hatter and the March Hare, leading a whole parade of enthusiastic participants from various schools round Doncaster Athletic Stadium. Another highlight of the 17 years for me was the light bulb moment in lockdown, when we realised that I could attend one of your planning meetings, since everyone else there was coming in via Zoom anyway. Many thanks for inviting me along. It was great to see everyone, even if not in person, at least all together on screen. I'll miss the regular updates from the team, the announcement of the long lists, the short lists, the winners, the prior notice of events, and the write-ups when they've taken place. And I would be lying if I claimed I wouldn't miss the occasional checks popping through the letterbox, accompanied by Phil's quirky choice of book-related postcard. I think the last one was Roger Hargreaves' Mr. Uppity. What was Phil trying to tell me, I wonder? But the big highlight of the 16 years I've been involved with the Doncaster Book Award has been the friendships I've formed with the team, and I really hope these can continue, even though it looks as if the end of the DBA is now nigh. Let's hope that Liz and I can meet up with you all when we finally make it back up to Doncaster. Until then, best wishes for the finale, thank you for your custom and support over the years, and hwyl fawr from your friends in Wales.